and premier ministers. They're making something called a Pullman. Maybach 72, they're making expensive car like this. But that's an old one probably. They have a more new. Probably they're very expensive. So they're very nice. So if you have a lot of money, you can get some nice cars. That's this Maybach S650. I think you sleep very well in this chair. You just need that blanket. You need that cotton blanket. And then you can sit sleeping. So they make this very nice car for very rich people. And they got this AMG. No, they got this S600 and S650. They have this S-Class, and I think you can get it in a Maybach version. And they have something called a Pullman. Mercedes Maybach is 500 is 680. You can get like this in Shanghai, China. Well, that's not for. Let's have this Pullman. Is 680 Maybach Pullman. I think that's the most expensive you can get. Like this. They're very nice. Probably cost a lot of money. So that's what I'm going to read about all this video. So now I have this open. So we make like 92.5 million cars worldwide. And they have, I don't know, more than 100. They have more than 100 big cars. They have automobile plant. They have more than 100 all around the world. That's by car brand. Toyota make 10.2 million, but that's not from Japan. That's the car brand. And Hyundai is number 3 in the world. General Motors is down on 6 million, but that's by car brand. And that's by country. But they have these automobile factories all over the world, so that's not the true number. They're making much more cars. That's electric motors, Tesla Autopilot. A list of car brand. Move to there. That's a car brand all over the world. That's I need to have open because there's many good links. You can look at that. One day I'm looking at car brands, one country. So this one we need to read like every year. This automotive industry by country. We have to read like every year. So that's some. We don't have to close this. And this one That's some we need to keep it open, because that's one we need to read every year. Like next summer we're reading this automotive industry, and this we have to do every year. This I have to start reading this. I already read about the Hyundai, the from South Korea. I read the Hyundai and Kia, and I did read the Toyota, the Japanese Toyota. Let's stop for me to let's how the tax horsepower, how the tax the cars very hard in Europe. You need to read about the petrol engine. Well, this is very short. So we have, that's very short. We're not going to read this because that's too short. We're not going to read this because that's super short. Could maybe read this. But let's, I have too much open. Let's close. The diesel engine is much longer. We need to read this history of the diesel engine. Classic cars. Classic cars, that's something like 20-25 years or older. I have a classic got vintage cars and antique cars. Antique cars, that's a super old one. So that's very short. We're not going to keep this open. Now we got veteran cars. Veteran car is like car 30 years old, my country. History of the automobile I got open somewhere else. So we not open them all. History of electric vehicles. I cannot read it because I'm vehicle. I cannot pronounce. I just call it the cars. History of electric cars. Electric vehicle, I cannot say it. Electric vehicles. Yes, vehicles, that's like a motorbike, a bus, or train, or airplane. I know that, and a bicycle. All this, they are vehicles. But electric car, that's electric airplane, electric train, electric boat, bus, electric bicycle, electric golf cart, electric battery, electric vehicles. That's everything. That's like electric bicycle. Electric car, that's car only. Like a Tesla and Nissan Leaf. You have to read about Nissan Leaf because that's a very famous, like Renault Zoe. That's what you get. You get you can buy this $10,000 my country. You can get an old Nissan Leaf up to Renault Zoe with a 20 kilowatt battery. Plug-in electric, plug-in hybrids, that's one of these microvans. Kaika, that's Japanese small cars for small narrow streets. They have some very narrow streets in in the Japanese city like Tokyo. So they have, you can only make 3.4 meters long, like 148 wide, and before that were even smaller. In the 1790s they were only like 1.4 meters, so they make some very small, very small car like this. I saw in Japan they use this car for campers, auto campers. They use it for camper cars. So because they have this very narrow street, now they use it for to make sell food. So they have all these mini cars. And never that's a Mazda with a 306 0.3 liters engine. They have these small cars, Mitsubishi. So they have all kind of, you have more than 1,000. That's actually that's fun car. Autosan, small mini sports car. But we look at this later. And you have this Japanese Japanese Kai trucks. They use for all kind of stuff, because the street up very narrow. Best selling automobile list of auto parts. Could move to my car brands. Car brands, auto part. That's all kind of cars I did open. That's American muscle cars. Big V8 engines. I have this muscle car. Big powerful American cars like Ford Mustang, all kind of very nice. But that would be very expensive in my country if you're driving this big V8 engines. So they're driving these tiny cars in Europe with small engine. So that's Fiat 500, tiny BMW 600, Fiat Panda. They drive long on the liters. Mini car. Oh, that's a brand called Mini from United Kingdom. Trabant from Eastern Germany. And many more, but I'm not open so many in Warburger. I just like to read about, start reading. That was the world's cheapest car. Tata Nano was the cheapest car in the world in India. That's from Iran, in Persia, Iran. Cement. And Pekan, that's an Iranian car. That's older than this, some actually remove, but let's keep it there. That's a Cadillac, luxury Cadillac, United States. So if you're many homeless, because of the price of housing got up crazy up in the like New York City, Los Angeles, all big cities. Florida, Miami, the cost of housing got up. So even people who have a normal, like a teacher, if you're a teacher or kindergarten teacher, or you're working on a car factory, you cannot really afford to buy a house. You cannot buy an apartment or a small house because it's too expensive, and The rent have gone up. If you're renting a private apartment, can cost like $3,000. Just a small apartment can cost like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. A tiny one-room apartment can cost like $2,000, $2,000 or $3,000. So many in United States they are living, but they have much bigger cars. You can sit sleeping. I think you can get a lot of cars less $5,000 in United States. Maybe not this one, but you can get some very large old SUVs less $5,000, I think. But not this one, Cadillac Escalade. I think that's a luxury brand. Maybe you can get an old one, 20 years old. I don't know, maybe you can get this less $5,000, 20 years old. They use for sleeping. They sit sleeping and lay behind the car and sleep. But we don't have this kind of car in Europe, because that will be very expensive. In a fuel, it takes the cars very hard. So that's, I'm going to read about it. Volkswagen Beetle. That's this iconic famous cars. That's government pension fund in Norway. That's the world biggest money. That's the Norwegian oil fund. All the oil money from petrol. Norwegian make a lot of money. They own all like 1.5% of all the tax the whole world. This pension fund owning the most stocks in the whole world. They have a lot of money. Microcars. Also going to read, that's part of the automotive industry. They do that like in India, many in Thailand, they make this kind of cars. In the big city use as cheap taxis, and they use as food shops, coffee, all kind of stuff. Because they have this crazy traffic in many cities around the world. So you need this small car to get around. All kind of this kind of cars they are using as taxis. So they're making many millions of this all over, and that's from India. Auto rickshaws. So they're actually kind of very nice. I think you cannot drive this in my country. They're not legal. Gasoline. What is gasoline? And diesel fuel. Diesel, that's Rudolf Diesel, that's the German who invented the diesel engine. Rudolf Diesel, he did die some weird way on the English channel. Maybe suicide. He fall in the water. That's a jeepney from Philippines. Old jeep from Second World War. They make longer. That's how they make this jeepneys. They make this, cut it, and there make it longer and build a roof. So they used to make some kind of mini buses. I do that in the Philippines. That's a K-truck they use as a small car. Like 3 or 4 persons can sit every side. So this can maybe be 8 persons can sit behind here. 3 or 4 each side. So they have this mini cars, but you cannot drive my country. You cannot drive like this because you need a seat belt. You cannot sit like this. In my country it's not legal. So there's many kind of minibus, like maybe one 16 seat. So that's stuff I'm going to read about. Assembly line on a car factory. A car history of automobile. That's a long one. Industry robots using on assembly lines on a automobile factory plant. That's a Danish, my country, Denmark, that make this kind of luxury car. Senmo, I did not know that, probably they're very expensive. Coach is for long distance, like Greyhound bus, Flexbus, long distance buses. We call a mega bus in United States, Flexbus, Megabus, Greyhound. And buses, that's more for like public transport in a city, like this. All kind of buses, all kind of sizes. Make for public transport. So to make this all kind of buses. That's part of the automotive industry, because they are making buses too. And then we are back there. So let's get started. Read this. So this one we have to read every year. Every summer we need to, because then we have the next summer we have the number from year 2025 maybe. So every year. So let's start. So we're going to split it in Africa, Egypt, all these countries. Then they put it on Asia. Asia is not Central Asia. Asia is everything that's Central Asia and Near East and the Far East. Asia is everything Japan, Azerbaijan, Bangladesh, India. They just call it Asia, not split it in Near East and Central Asia and the Far East. They're not split, just call it Asia, everything. Then I have Europe. Europe is including Turkey, I think. Turkey. I don't know. Turkey is part of Asia, I think. Spain, Ukraine. No, then I do North America is Canada and the United States. And then we have Central America and South, but I'm not split it like they call Oceania. Is Australia, New Zealand, South America. They just select everything, not we got Central America. Colombia, Ecuador, they don't have Central America. So we're going to do this, but not 30 videos. So just like to make some video about cars. No, let's split the world. This is South America. This is Central America. This is the Caribbean, the Cuba, all these Caribbean islands. That's North America, United States, Canada. That's Europe, but the geographical Europe go to like the Ural Mountains. The geographical Europe is like part of Russia there, but the political Europe is to Ukraine, not Turkey, it's not part of Europe, I think. Then the Middle East the whole Middle East, Iran, and that's North Africa. You got the Sahara Desert, you have the North Africa. It's part of the Middle East because they're mostly Muslims. And then you got the Sahara Desert, and then the Sub-Sahara below here is mostly original Africans. India, 1.4 billion people, 4.4 billion, and Pakistan, super large. And of course China, more than 1 billion people. Russia is super large, they're making a lot of cars. And Japan have like 130 million citizens. Japan is very large, go all the way down here. They have some island, and they have some island all the way down here. South from Tokyo, that's like Midway, all this, that's Japanese island. Australia, New Zealand, that's Oceania, all this, that's Oceania. Indonesia, Philippines. I live up here at my YouTube channel, have 11 years birthday, and now I need some cola. So I not even got started. I need to put this video public. But just like I like to make some video about cars in English, but I will do my language Danish, of course. But no, they're not watching my video. I maybe have 10 or 20 views. My Danish car videos have less 50 views. So you never know. Maybe not anyone is watching now my English car, but maybe some do in 5 years. Some will do in the future. So we have a very big production of automobiles all over the world. 250,000 every day, 10,700 every hour. Every minute, about 180 cars every minute, about 3 cars every second. They could sell a lot more cars if cars was not so expensive. They could sell twice as many cars if they not tax the car so high. But many states and government they tax the cars very high, and the fuel, because they need the money for this, to pay the bills in the state. They need the money to pay public welfare. So they need the tax money from automobiles and cars, and the fuel for instance. They need the tax money to pay welfare, like public hospitals, schools, and elder care, and children, to defense, police, and public infrastructures. Public transport. Of course, they need them.